Remember that £22 billion black hole in the country's finances left by the Tories? Well, according to Labour anyway. Nobody's talking about that anymore. I wonder why. Now, considering we have this alleged black hole, which I don't think ever existed, Keir Starmer and Labour seem to be hell-bent on spending money elsewhere rather than filling that hole up. Now, I'm not a maths genius, but if there's a £22 billion black hole in the country's finances, and this Labour government and the Keir Starmer are not spending any money on trying to fill it up, then, yeah, it doesn't exist, does it? The Chancellor couldn't afford to give the pensioners their winter fuel allowance because of the black hole. The Chancellor also couldn't afford to give the WASPy women their due pension rights because of this black hole. There's lots of things which could benefit the people of this nation that the Chancellor could be funding, but she can't because of this apparent black hole. And yet they found billions to help prop up illegal migrants, turning them into asylum seekers. They found billions to fund net zero. And they found like a bottomless pit of money to give Zelensky. Remember the 100-year deal, paying them something like £3.5 billion a year. And on top of that, he's just given Zelensky another £5.6 billion. And that apparently is due to Trump telling Europe to defend ourselves. And we should do, really. Trump's right. The Americans have been funding our defence now for decades. And I don't think that's very fair. Neither does Trump. So anyway, Keir Starmer's just announced the defence spending will rise by 2.5% of GDP by 2027 and 3% in the next Parliament. Now this will be funded by cutting the overseas aid budget. What, do I hear you ask? A left-wing, woke, progressive, bleeding-heart socialist government cutting foreign aid? Yeah, that's what they're doing. And they're doing it because Keir Starmer's a warlord. He is a massive warmonger. Him and his fellow EU leaders, they seem to be hell-bent on snatching war from the jaws of peace. And he's finding money from everywhere to fund it. Remember, there's a black hole, isn't there? And here's my prediction. There will be a war with Russia. They're pushing for it. They want it. There's talk of conscription. And now they're spending good money on making damn sure it bloody happens. Now, Starmer's going to pop over to Washington this week to speak to Trump. He's going to try and do what Emmanuel Macron, the French manlet, completely failed to do. He got nothing out of Trump. And if Keir Starmer thinks he'll do a better job, then he can think again. They seem to be desperate to get the US involved in this because I don't think that they think they can take on Russia alone, even though Russia have struggled with the Ukraine war. And I was listening to, I think it was GB News on the radio the other day, and some leftist Labour voting warmonger was on there, saying if we didn't conscript and spend more on defence, then soon we'll all be speaking Russian. I mean, what utter claptrap. Putin couldn't subdue Ukraine, for heaven's sake. He's not going to roll over Europe like the Nazis did 80-odd years ago, is he? Now, I'm no Putin apologist. Yes, he is a nasty individual. He's not to be trusted. But this whole Ukraine thing, if you dig into it, do your research, use your noggin, it did not start with him invading the Ukraine. That's a fact. This goes back a while and it's all down to broken promises. And that's a whole video in itself, so do your research, folks. This thing is about to get even uglier, in my opinion, if you read between the lines. European leaders will get the US involved somehow or another. And I hate to use the term false flag, but it's happened a few times recently. So I'm not taking anything off the table. All the signs are pointing to war, and when a bleeding heart, left-wing, woke, progressive, socialist government are pulling money away from foreign aid to fund the armed forces, then you best prepare yourselves, folks, that's all I'm saying. And I'm no conspiracy theorist. But peace was always there if they wanted it. Zelensky nearly capitulated, only to be brought back from the brink by Boris Johnson, who encouraged him to fight on. It's not looking good, ladies and gents, it really isn't. But if it happens, this government is doing it, not in my name. And there we go, I'm Paz49, thanks for watching, and until the next time, Roger Trout.